Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm your host, Adam Steele, and this is the Hop Pole podcast where we talk about tech, music, tech, guitar tech, and production-y stuff. And as always, there is my co-host, Mr. Liam Wright. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm grand.
Good.
I'm grand. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a bit scatterbrained because I've been very, very busy this week, and also I've just had a Newcastle Brown Ale as an attempt to try and simplify my thought processes a little bit. Oh, it's been a heck of a day. From when I woke up this morning, I've been working with martial arts. Then I've been working with speakers for about 5 hours. Then I've been driving home, and oh my word, so many things happen. Blah. But yeah, it's all good. It's all work stuff. It's all keeping me out of trouble, that's for sure. The Celestian video's getting one step closer every time I go in. Pretty much all the nice footage is done. All the captures are done apart from one speaker. I was supposed to do 25 speakers for that. Now I'm doing 26.
All right.
Yeah. Celestian have announced this hemp back speaker where the paper cone is actually woven out of hemp.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. There are 3 of them just like available full stop, apparently. Nobody's got one. Apart from Paul at Zilla Cabs has one. Because they've been like using Zilla as like the test. So they've been doing that. And so I called Paul yesterday and was like, mate, can I borrow that speaker? So he's overnighting it to me, so over the weekend I can capture that. Yeah, thank you to Paul massively. So I can throw that in the video and then get that sent back to him on Monday.
Oh, wicked, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, at some point very soon they'll be available to the public, but that aside, I need to start actually editing this thing. So, yeah.
Are you allowed to make an IR out of it?
I think so. I'm going to. Whether I can sell it or not is a different thing, but hey. Yeah. Yeah. It's that's my version of will it blend now is, can I make an IR out of this? Whoop.
You can make the cab on 2 notes that's just called like the weed cab or something.
Yeah. 420 blaze it. 420 blaze tone.
Brilliant.
Yeah, 420 blaze tone, that works.
Oh, you have to.
That's happening now. That's absolutely happening. 420 blaze tone.
You have to.
Oh man, I'm gonna have a busy weekend.
I love it.
Yeah, 420 blaze tone. I wonder if I can. No, it's a bit too late to change the 2-note system to have silly names for the mics. But yeah, hello everybody. Hope you're all well. This is live as it is every week, as you can tell from the complete lack of script. And we're going to bring you this week's news before then taking production questions. So before we do any of that, let's roll the intro. Awesome. Also, I do need to actually put out some proper videos on the channel. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but everything for the last 3 weeks has been live videos. I mean, we're still posting regularly. Last night, I actually mixed 2 whole songs on the channel in a single session.
I heard some of it.
Yeah, that made my brain hurt by the end, because the second song I was expecting to be metal, and it was more like sound design epic. It was more like kind of like if Hans Zimmer did a metal soundtrack. It was
all right.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was all like kind of noises and stuff. So that really threw me a bit. So by the end of it, I kind of was going cross-eyed and just had to crawl into bed and just be like, But yeah, the Sky Asylum album is coming along well, and I've been sent some more tracks, which I'm just going to... I don't know if I'll be able to do them tomorrow night. I might be able to. So I've got, 2 more songs to mix. Or is it 2 more songs? What did I get sent? Kingdom and To Live Is To Die. Yes. So I've got 2 new songs to work on, probably tomorrow night for anyone who's interested. Because I really want to get moving with this album, because I'm doing the full album. And at some point I need to sit down with a pen and paper and actually script the Celestian video. That might be tomorrow morning over a coffee. And get the pen and paper out and do it old school. Yeah, because at this point it's going to be about a 4-hour video, maybe 5 hours. Something stupid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be the video equivalent of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Just woof. Yeah. I mean,
Cornerstone content.
yeah. The first thing is going to be, hi and welcome. Here's the timestamps. Here's essentially a table of contents. Yeah. It's going to be a huge undertaking. It's the kind of thing that people get degrees for. Huge. There's huge, then there's huge. Yes, so there's all that to come. Then I've got a video comparing every different type of SM57 I could get my hands on, just to be a massive nerd.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and then when those are out, I'm going to be able to get back to content I've been wanting to do for a while, which is less, oh my word, intensive. So, yes. And I'm guessing you've just been businessing all week, including stonks is now your thing.
Stonks is my thing. Yep. I with my coffee, I read the financial news, check what's going on with crypto, check my portfolio. It's all about the stonks.
I mean,
It's just fun. It's just a computer game to me.
I always had you down as someone who'd be good at stocks, but you were never really interested, and now you are.
Well, I was for a period, but I couldn't get my head around a lot of it because I'm like a very analytical person. I enjoy analyzing things and sort of like puzzle building. But, you know, crazy as it is, the whole GameStop saga was such a baptism by fire because like the Reddit circle at the time, it's turned into a shitstorm now on Reddit, but for like that first week, like it was like a degree in kind of economics and the US and crypto all into one with so many different people you could ask questions of, so you could learn. It was like being in a seminar like constantly for like 4 days, and I just like picked up so much and like where to go to look for things. I just got addicted. Like, I mean, I've been investing for a while, but only a little bit. But the bits that I never quite understood finally got explained to me, and I found some cool YouTubers. So for the first time in my life, I now actually watch YouTube.
Hey,
I've never really been in honesty, I've never really been into YouTube. I've never found like creators that really like appealed to me.
Yeah.
But now I found a few and found myself watching streams on YouTube instead of Twitch.
Now you've found your niche. Hey. You started watching people like Legal Eagle, people like that.
I started watching Meet Kevin. I really like Meet Kevin.
There's one that drew me in the last couple of weeks called Lockpicking Lawyer. Which, yeah, it's this guy. He's just an incredibly good lock picker. You don't even see his face. It's just a picture of the table, and the guy's obviously behind the camera. And this guy can get some of the world's most sophisticated locks and just be like, click, click, click. Whoa! And you're just like, how are you doing this? It's brilliant.
Oh man, I've seen like lockpicking kits on eBay before, like really complicated ones, and I have watched some YouTube videos on that because I do find it fascinating. I can completely understand where you're coming from on that.
That's the thing. It's like you're lockpicking games, and it looks like it shouldn't be this easy, but if you're really good at it, this guy literally is. Like, he'll have a hairpin or something. He'll be like, number 1 is twisting, number 2 is set, and click, 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 bing, and you're just like, what? Sorry. Or sometimes he'll get a particular lock that looks really complicated, and he'll just get his fist and go bop on the top, and it'll just open. Just knowing all these things. Fantastic.
Yeah, really fascinating. I completely get you there.
Basically, anything that's a skill in an RPG, if it's a real thing, I'll watch YouTube videos of it. Like science or outdoorsman or... Anyway, shall we talk about the news? Because there's another YouTube channel, if people haven't seen it before, called Hot Pole Studios. Let's do that now. There's the news. So, our headline this week. So the slightly, don't say clickbaity, but because it's true. The title of the podcast this week is Sonarworks is dead. Long live SoundID. So, in a nutshell, the new version of Sonarworks Reference is out. Sonarworks Reference 5. Except that that's not its name. They've rebranded, they've rebadged it. It's now called SoundID Reference.
Right.
Now, we've talked
So
about...
it's still the same thing, just rebranding.
Yeah, and there's a lot more features to it now, but it's what Sonarworks, what we know as Sonarworks used to be, is now called SoundID.
Right.
Which is really going to hurt their brand in the short term, I think, until people get their head around the fact that Sonarworks is a different thing now, because some people are going to think it's a competitor, or they're not going to be aware that it's an upgrade, or... Yeah. But yeah, here it is, and it looks very much like the old version, but there's new features. One of my favourite new features is where it used to just be, it was a correction plugin, did correction, that was your lot. Now, when it's corrected, you can grab a point and you can move it like an EQ.
All right.
So if there's a bit like it perfectly corrects your speakers so it's flat, and you say, okay, I like this, but I want more mids, you can just grab a point and you can just do that, and it's fully corrected, but with that bump wherever that you've specified. I think that's one of my favourite things about it. And then there's a load of stuff now. There's a mode called Translation Check.
You wouldn't want that for mixing, though, would you? You want that just for listening back, just for playback on enjoyment.
What, the EQ curve thing?
Yeah.
Possibly. It might be that you're really used to using speakers that have a bit more mid in them or a bit less bass in them, or you don't have to go crazy with it. That's the thing. I mean, yes, if you're going all hi-fi with it, like lots more bass, lots more top end, then yeah, absolutely. That is hi-fi territory. And in fact, they make a hi-fi version of this now. Called SoundID Hi-Fi, I think. I think that was right. I think. Unless I'm confusing it with the Trinov system, which I was reading about earlier. The Trinov system is like the ultimate version of this in hardware from a different company.
Right.
But yeah, this... yeah, quite often, I mean, I can see where an engineer that's really experienced might want a certain thing to listen through as their everyday, and if they get used to that, then that makes sense. Like, certain brands of speakers I've found, even with correction on, they have a certain characteristic. Like, at John Brown's studio, he's got the Amphion speakers, which are like $6,000 speakers, and guitars sound quite kind of low down in the mix on them, even when they're corrected. But then he's got these KSDs, which are the same as what Henning Pauly has. And even with those corrected, it feels really kind of mid-forward, which is weird, considering they're both corrected. But there is something to be said for the characteristic of the speaker. So if you say, okay, this is corrected, but I still want a bit more of this or a bit less of this, if you are, educated enough to make the right decisions, and therein lies the danger, then yeah, I think it could be really good. But yeah, the translation check means you can pretend that you're listening on like smartphone speakers or on laptops, in-ear headphones. There are different modes you can set it in. Yeah,
that's really cool.
But then that couldn't come soon enough, because they're not the only ones in town now. There's things like these headphones I'm wearing, the Slate VSX, which have binaural modes to sound like boom boxes and things like that. And apparently there's a big update coming for that as well, where you can actually have a mode where it sounds like a phone that's just sat on the surface in front of you and stuff like that. Which you'd say, oh, why don't you just render it out and listen to it on your phone? Yeah, but if that takes 5 minutes, or you can press the phone button in 2 seconds. Who wants to lose 5 minutes? Yeah.
And it's even just for that quick reference, isn't it? It's like you might still want to put it on your phone afterwards, but it's like, right, let me just do the checks, right? Sound good on phone? Yep. Car? Yep. Speakers? Yeah. Hi-fi? Yeah. I think we're good. Right. Okay. I'm happy with this.
Bingo. Yeah.
I'm expecting it to now sound like this when I do my final checks.
Yeah.
And then you're less likely to have to re-render it and keep going back to your car, keep going back to your phone.
Exactly. And that's, with this and with the VSX, that's what has been really good for me. Is that I can do that. I can actually make it sound like a pair of headphones or not a pair of headphones and check it on different systems Where
Yeah, it's like
traditionally I would actually do that, but I'd have to render it, then physically stand up and go to the place with the thing.
Yeah, it's like me using Chrome to check mobile views by going into inspect elements and looking up the developer mode and changing the resolutions to make sure everything's working. I'll still get it on my phone because my phone will act differently than Chrome will, even in emulation mode.
Yeah.
But it gets me 99% of the way there.
Yeah.
And if I have to keep keeping my phone up, and even though I've got to go to the same address, it might be dead easy. It's really hard.
Yeah, it's those extra steps. What?
Rogue's eating my sweet and sour sauce.
Oh, what?
Oh no, what?
Have you just been
Bad
sent a
dog.
message, or are you just staring at Rogue?
No, I've just been sent a message by my wife.
Oh, dear.
You left your sweet and sour sauce out somewhere, just taking it off Rogue. She growled at me. Lol.
Well, you know it's good, sweet and sour.
I know.
Yeah, so this looks pretty cool. The one issue that I have with this is I think their marketing and their system is a little bit off. I got an email about this that it's new, and then I sign into my account thinking, it's an update, and then it comes up in yellow, free 21-day trial. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, there's going to be an upgrade price then. That's fine. How much is it? Can't find that anywhere. It wants me to go for the trial without me being aware of how much the upgrade costs. Don't like it.
Wow.
I had to find it in their store, and the upgrade was, I think it was 89 quid from the license that I have. It says it's 119 euros for the speaker and headphones upgrade. It seemed to be less in the store for me, but that I don't know. That's fine. Or €49 upgrade for the headphone version, which again could be worth it to you if you've had Sonarworks for a number of years and this new functionality is worth it to you. But still, it's like the fact that they're pushing the demo so hard and not putting the prices anywhere seems a little odd to me. They're trying to go, hey, use the demo, and then you use it for 21 days, and after 21 days it goes, okay, we're stopping now, money please. Seems a little bit, it's not extortion, but it leads you down that path. It's a little odd. Yeah. I mean, the prices are available on their website if you look. So that's the thing I have an issue with, is it's not that they're deliberately withholding, it's that they're funneling you in a way that I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I get where you're going.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a good product, and I'm sure it is, and I probably will upgrade in the studio. I'm no longer using Sonarworks at home because of VSX here, but the speakers at the studio with Sonarworks have been great for me. So, yeah I mean, it is a good system that works well. So my only issue there is that hiding of the price. And if I can call out things like that and people see this on the podcast, hopefully it will in some way encourage them in the future to not go by that kind of practice. But then I'm just trying to think. We did a news article a while back. Sonarworks had been bought by somebody. Who was it? I can't remember. Company bought. Let's just see. I can't think now of who owns Sonarworks SIA. But I'm pretty sure that they're not independent anymore. Yeah. So that might be something to do with it. I remember that they had a new CEO coming in who was formerly one of the board members at Nokia. So I wonder if they are going a bit more down the corporate route, which always fills me with apprehension. But yeah, as long as the product is still good, the product is still good. So I'll be vocal about reservations, but I'm not going to stop using it because the product is good enough to get past this problem. But guys, please stop. Anyway, moving on. Big news for the Cubase crowd. Steinberg prepares to ditch its unpopular USB e-license, a dongle system. Hooray!
Ooh.
So, the e-licenser is a bit like an iLock, but it isn't an iLock. And Steinberg have been using this awful thing for the longest time. One of the main reasons, really, why I'm not using Cubase, aside from being a big Reaper fan, if there was an option for Cubase to be on an iLock, I might even have a copy of Cubase to hand, because there are things about it, like the drum mapping and the drum editing, are really quite slick and quite fast. Almost to the point where I wouldn't mind jumping between DAWs, and that's a big thing for me. That's a lot of potential faffing around. But yeah, the e-licenser has always been a bit weird and is notoriously flaky as well. If you so much as touch the USB port, Cubase might just hang. Which is not what you want. But yeah, the fact that they've not moved to anything else until now is a little bit weird. When I studied at University for Music Production, every computer had Cubase SX2 and then Cubase SX3. We're now on to Cubase 11, I believe. This was a while back. But every computer, they installed an internal USB card that had an internal USB port, and they put the e-licenser inside the computer in a USB slot so they couldn't be stolen by students, and bolted the computer shut. So yeah, that's the way they got around that. So there were 120 of those. Yeah, it's a lot of e-licenses. And it was known that on any given day, out of 30 computers in a room, at least 4 of them would fail. So they would only allow, I think it was 24 students per room, because they knew that there was a failure rate on a daily basis, and it was random. Some computers that failed one day would work the next.
Oh, wow, that's annoying.
Yeah. I mean, if you've only got one computer and there's one of you, it'll probably work every day of the month apart from one. And even then, it might work an hour later. Still not great.
Yeah. No,
but
not at all.
They're still using the same system now. So there was a press release from the Steinberg Twitter account. And I'm not going to read out the first paragraph because it's just fluff. But the second one starts with, "We have decided to adopt a new license management technology that everyone will benefit from to prepare for our current requirements. Blah, 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 corporate. That means either they're going to go to iLock, which I think is a good move if they do that, because most plugins that are big name plugins all use iLock. So the chances of a Cubase user having an iLock already are very high. I mean, if you do big productions and you don't have an iLock, I'd really like to know how you're doing that. So
yeah, exactly.
There you go. It's doable. There's plenty of plugins. There are plenty of plugins that use separate authorization techniques that don't use an iLock, but there are as many again, if not more, that actually do just use iLocks. And there's iLock Cloud, which means you don't need the physical dongle, but if your internet connection is severed at all, it just doesn't work. And then there is iLock authorization to a specific computer. But then if the computer's hard drive goes, tough. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, unless you pay their insurance, which is $30 a year or whatever it is, then you can recover things. But yeah, it's all a bit weird. It's all a bit at your own risk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, they might go for a hard drive-based thing. I don't know. We'll see. So, moving on. This made me laugh. I saw a short video for this before. I thought they were joking. Turns out they're not. Tune in this weekend for the JHS Pedals, Pedals the Musical on YouTube. Which, yeah, really made me laugh. But that is live on, what day is it today? Saturday and Sunday, March 13th and 14th. The historically accurate musical comedy by Josh Scott of JHS Pedals. I genuinely thought they were being silly on the YouTube channel until today, when they did a whole 15-20 minute promo video. Scott, hi. Said, did I miss the news about Sonarworks? Sorry, buddy. You did. In fact, that's been the only thing we've talked about really for the last 20 minutes.
Rewind.
Yeah, rewind. I'll come back to it later. Wiki, rewind.
Click live.
Yeah. But yeah,
Catch up.
there's actually t-shirts about this, and apparently it's a collaboration with Sweetwater and JHS Pedals, so it's actually a kind of a big production by looking at it.
Wow.
It's a cross between a Monty Python film and a historical tale. I will absolutely be watching this. It's premiering as a live YouTube event, so I'm kind of pleasantly surprised it's not a paid event. The fact that they're doing it 2 days in a row means maybe it is a live performance both days. Interesting. Oh, Scott went on a beer run. Then all is forgiven. I went on a beer run just before, so I've been drinking Newcastle Brown. I would go and get another one, but otherwise I'll be talking even more nonsense than usual by the time we finish this podcast. I had 2 beers last night over the period of a 4-hour mixed stream, and by the end of it I was nearly cross-eyed. If I have a whole beer in the space of an hour, I'll be on the floor. At least I'm...
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I had beer, to be honest.
It's quite rare for me, but like I was saying this last night, everyone must think I'm an alcoholic because whenever you see me live on the channel, I'm drinking. But it's more of a Pavlovian thing. It's that when I stream, I have a beer. And when I'm not streaming, I don't drink. Pretty much. Which is the strangest thing, because I used to be a bar manager. Only last year, I would, like, a full-on nightclub. I had access to any alcohol I wanted. Didn't drink. There you go. Just, I don't know. It's not something that appeals to me. Maybe I'm old. I don't know.
Yeah, you're old now. That's what it is.
Yeah. Plus, I like to have my faculties about me so I can talk rubbish about mixing. Yeah.
And it's a bit different when you've got a kid as well.
Yes. Once she's in bed, all bets are off. But no. No, it's true, because then you pay for it at 7 a.m. when you've got daddy.
But I mean, there's always going to be that element as well of like having someone that's, in case of emergency, able to handle the situation.
Yes, that is very true. Yes, we have had a couple of late night emergencies over the last year or so. It does happen.
Yeah, it happens with any situation.
Yeah. Never work with kids or animals. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we have with dogs. I've had to go to the vets with Simba at 4 a.m. Like, it happens.
Yeah. Oh, happy birthday to Chris in the chat. Chris, Chris is officially old.
I've had 6 different notifications on my calendar over the past 2 weeks saying it was Chris's birthday. So I've just given up believing it now. My calendar keeps saying it's Chris's birthday. It's Chris's birthday. I'm like, what?
It's like a royal birthday. There's a procession on one day, then there's the official lunch in the next.
The official one, yeah. Because I felt bad because I was like, oh, I need to message Chris because it's his birthday. And then the next day I was reminded by the fact that my phone told me it was his birthday again. I was like, okay, now I don't believe that any of them are his birthday. So I kind of got to the point where I stopped believing that Chris had a birthday, basically.
Don't stop believing that it's Chris's birthday.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, from pedals to old guitars that are actually new guitars. Oh, hello. I think I just accidentally deleted it. No, didn't delete a tab. Just went to one I wasn't expecting because I'm stupid. So, the new... If ever you wanted to have a guitar and do the joke, anyway, here's Wonderwall. This is the guitar to do it with. The Noel Gallagher J150 signature model.
Cool.
You're not going to sound much more Wonderwall than this.
No.
I mean, it looks really nice, actually. A proper signature model Gibson acoustic. I've always liked Gibson acoustic guitars, even though the whole electric Gibson thing has been under fire a lot recently. I almost consider it to be a different company, especially the handcrafted stuff. I mean, it isn't, and the business practices are still a little off sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the guitar is accompanied by a photocopy of handwritten lyrics to Little by Little. Yay, a facsimile! Yeah, looks nice. J150 is a bit bigger than the classic J45. It's not quite as big as the J200, which is like the Elvis Presley, the super jumbo. But these things do have an absolutely massive sound to them, which, yeah, if someone gave one to me as a gift, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's nice, trash. No, I would actually treasure that and very much look after it. Talking of guitars to very much treasure and look after, I know my brain's all in different places today, but check this out. I don't know if I've shown this on the channel before. This is my number one bass that I've been talking about on stream for months. I got it back, and it now works and plays perfectly. Look at
awesome.
This. That is the most beautiful bass. It's flame maple on the top. It's 3 pieces of flame maple right the way down the neck. But the neck has been a bit of a banana for the last few years because the truss rod broke. And it cost a lot of money and a lot of time to get this fixed. They had to steam the fretboard off so it lifted off. And then completely take out the old truss rod, fill the hole full of walnut wood, put a whole new one in there, and then reattach the fretboard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and all the old electronics had died, so they've now put entirely new electronics in for me. So yeah, Jack's Instrument Services, who've been on the channel before, God bless you. So yeah, it's very, very, very pretty. And actually, for anyone who is really interested in guitars, just one extra thing. If you look closely at this on the stream, not only will you see there's no line down the middle, it's not buck matched. This is not a top, this is not a veneer, and it's not buck matched. This body is one single piece of wood. In terms of guitars, that is unheard of. If I turn it, you can see there is no line anywhere. It's not 2 pieces, it's a single piece of quilted maple. And I've never seen another piece of quilted maple this big in my life. And yeah, oh my word. Yeah, so yeah, sorry, I just had to show that off a little bit. We never did get to the bottom of the brand. I keep reaching out on the internet to people, but we don't know who made it, and we would really very much like to know, but yeah, no luck, unfortunately. So, that's enough from that kind of, shiny, ha. Let's move on. Scott from Chernobyl Studios, who's in the chat, alerted me to the existence of this a few days ago. Recently on my mixes, I've been using the Black Box Analog Design HG2, which looks like half of this plugin, just like the top half. And now the HG2 MS version of the plugin has just been released. And it's so useful. I've already switched this out on my mixes from what I had before, and it's brilliant. And yes, I'm very glad that I have it because it gives me separate controls either for left and right or for mid-side. And if I have multiple of them, I can press the very clever TMT button and they don't stack up in the same place for little frequency bumps and dips. Very, very nice. And then it's got all the funky little features at the bottom that you have on a lot of the plugin Alliance mastering stuff to do with mono maker and stereo width, which I haven't used because it's the same on each plugin in the mastering chain. I don't need to double and triple up, but it's nice to have it there. Hello, Mark in chat. Hello. Make yourself at home. Everybody come in.
Sit down. Sit down. Take a seat.
Sit down. Have a drink.
Not there. Not there. Not there. That's reserved.
That's Dave's seat.
That is Dave's seat.
Dave. But yes. Oh, I've just learned what one of the valves is in the black box. It's a 6U8A. And I don't know what that is, but it sounds good. And then the pentode is the 12AX7, and that, unless I've got them backwards. No, I've got them backwards. The 6U8A is probably the pentode, because I know a 12AX7 is a triode. But anyway, it's there. If you've got the plugin Alliance Mixmaster bundle, you already have this. Just go to the installation manager, download it, activate it, off you go. I'm using more and more of the plugin Alliance stuff. Now I'm actually getting to know what some of that stuff does, because it was a little bit dizzying at first. There's 100 plugins in the Mixmaster bundle, and there's nothing anywhere that really just gives you a big list of this does that, this does this does that. So you're just a bit like, what do I do? So, yeah, now I'm actually getting into it and diving in. There's some really cool stuff in there that isn't in any other plugin that I've got, which is what I'm looking for, really, because I don't need 10 different versions of the same compressor. Anywho, let's talk about Apple for a while. This can only go well.
Oh, go on.
Apple kills off the iMac Pro, which only came out 3 years ago.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that we talked about the launch of the iMac Pro on the podcast.
I think we did.
Yeah, back when it was a monthly podcast. Way back when, because they introduced this in 2017. But yeah, I mean, it looked...
Oh, right, yeah, that wasn't with me then, that was with Chris, wasn't it?
It might well have been. I mean, I'm stretching my memory back, because we've been doing the podcast quite a while, but because it was monthly, it stretches back.
I've only been doing it weekly. I did a couple, I think, when it was monthly, but it was when I came on board, I said, let's do it weekly.
Right. That's when the rubber really hit the road. That was hard to say.
Yeah, because Chris wasn't going to be able to do it every week, and I was like, well, I can step in, and Chris can come on and help out whenever he's available. And he just sits there and mocks us in chat now.
With a drink in hand, and you do right, sir. Yes.
I mean, let's start a campaign to get Chris back on video on the show, especially if it's been a birthday.
Yeah,
we can sing him happy birthday.
We can get chat to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure if he's got Discord, he could jump on. I don't know if he does.
That's true.
But we could make that happen.
We want Chris. We want Chris.
We want Chris. You know, the really funny thing is, last time I had some special guests on the podcast. One of them was Henning Pauly. And I told Henning, basically, I was brand new Mac Pro that he'd got was technically out of date because of the new M1 chips. And another one of my friends, Jamie Humphreys, has just got himself an iMac Pro. And maybe I should send this to him and tell him about how his Mac is now out of date. And the funny thing is, Jamie's iMac Pro, he just got off of Henning.
I think I killed it.
Oh, you pressed the buttons.
That's Chris, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Chris, we're calling you if you're there.
I've pressed too many buttons. It's all gonna be Pete Tong.
That's right. I can get in. There we go. You just put it back now. You didn't join. Boo.
Dong. But yeah, if anyone's got an iMac Pro, just know that you now have technically got yourself an out-of-date piece of hardware. Just like every other piece of hardware that all of us have, because every time you get anything nice, 3 minutes later, there is the announcement of the new shiny thing. Because that's how tech works. So don't even worry about it, because it was out of date before you even ordered it. That's how it works. And speaking of which, new Mac Pro models rumored for 2022, starting at $5,500 for 32 CPU cores. Oh my giddy aunt.
Wow.
Now, if that's based on the M1 style architecture, which was that a 4-core chip? Or was it an
I
8-core
can't
chip?
remember.
I think it was 8-core, so 4 big cores, 4 small cores. And those things are absolutely running circles around anything in their class. So times that by 4 at least. Give it an unlimited power budget compared to laptops, and watch it fly. This thing, this thing is going to absolutely dominate. Not entirely sure how they'll do like PCI Express for cards and that kind of thing. They might design that in. I hope they do, because then you can have dedicated graphics cards and that kind of thing in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if any of the info is reliable, because this is all rumors, apparently there's oh my word, there's one that's a 64 core model with 48 of their performance cores and 128 GPU cores, $19,000 US. But this is still, that's the kind of machine that you get like multiple 8K footage reels and you hit render and it just goes, okay, fine. Woof. I mean, I was talking to Henning about his, because he has the current cheese grater Mac Pro, and he produces live through his Blackmagic rig in 4K. It all goes through the Mac live with overlays going on in real time, and it just doesn't bat an eyelid. It just does completely live production on everything coming off a Red Dragon. It's insane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. He's just got himself a Red Dragon. Or is it Komodo? Is that the name of it? The kind of the entry level red. Yeah. So yeah, so
I'm not sure.
Assorted Bits says, I guess that's aimed at animation studios or so. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, this is the kind of machine that is literally designed for professionals. I've had rants in the past about certain Apple laptops and even some of the desktops having Pro in the name when it absolutely wasn't justified. This is not okay. Cool. This is not that. This is very justifiably professional. If that's the kind of power that we're getting out of it, then you know what, fair. So yeah, I don't know with the GPU cores if that's on the chip or not, but it would be a bit weird if the GPU cores are actually on the same die as the CPU. But I suppose we'll have to wait to see.
It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Apple.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
What's the? Oh, this is quite low on the list. No, that's interesting. How old's a AMD 9370?
9370. That's old. AMD 93.
Yeah, actually looking at the Intel ones that I know. Just interesting, like the M1 chip.
Oh, that's Bulldozer. That's like.
So interestingly, the M1 chip is only as good as that or like a 6700 i7 at mining Monero. It's just interesting, given that what the M1 chip's great at and what it's not great at, and how it's just. I find it's really interesting how they've niched it down to just do what it needs to do really well. But they say like it's only as you've got like the AMD chips, like the one in yours, that can mine Monero, for instance, and do other things because it's such a powerful chip, and there's other possibilities and stuff. Just really fascinating. They've just laser focused it. Like, we're going to build a thing that does this, and don't worry about anything else. Single core, like threading on one computer, running for our operating system. It's going to run the program super fast, low power, do what our users need it to do. It's really interesting.
Well, also, because they've designed their own chips, they're not trying to mold the operating system around it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Really, really useful. They can do things like the other way around, like out of order multitasking and that kind of thing, where it's like, oh, you can't do that with x86 chips. They were never designed for it, and Apple just say, hold my beer. It's like, yeah, you chip, do this, you do this. You should have done this yesterday.
Yeah, I've got a friend that was like involved in like Unix, like in the really early days. Well, Ross, you know Ross.
Yeah.
When he was working with IBM and stuff, he was building like some of the big, like original mainframe, like cloud, like before cloud computer, big mainframe computers for sort of like huge. Literally, you're talking like hundreds of millions of dollars in the sort of 70s and 80s. And he's such a big Apple guy as a result, because he thinks like x86 for him is just so inefficient. So he's going to be a big fan of these M1 chips, because it's just taking what he thought Apple were good at and going back to that.
That's exactly it. I mean, x86 chips have been hilariously inefficient since the mid-90s, but because they're what everybody used, they self-perpetuated.
It's code on top of code, patching code on top of code that's just been there for so long. It's just essentially they just know how to deal with its inefficiencies, and it's all just like actually under the hood, it's all just gaffer tape and sort of pipe cleaners holding it all together.
Oh God, yeah, it's amazing what I mean. If you look vaguely at the development of the x86 chips, a lot of the extensions that came in over the years were basically just, please use this instead of the old terrible maths, please. It's just like, but they had to build these chips so that all the old terrible maths still had to be available, otherwise half your programs would crash. Yeah, self-perpetuating, awful. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see when these come out. I'll get a mortgage, and with a 20% down payment, I might be able to afford one and pay it off in 25 years. So, moving.
Oh, I've just been paid.
You've been what?
I've just been paid.
Sweet.
I just had an Ethereum payment.
Ooh.
Which I should get every podcast now, actually, because they'll always be on a Wednesday now that the difficulty's gone up.
You get payments on Wednesdays?
Yeah, it's every 7 days, or when it hits a certain limit, and the rewards have dropped below, so I don't quite hit the limit every week now, whereas I was hitting it because gas prices have gone down. So, which I learned was quite interesting. I didn't realize that. I thought gas prices going down was good for people, and it is good, but it's bad for miners, and I didn't realize that, and I mine, so boo.
Okay, confusing. You're doing fart-powered mining?
No, yes. So gas is what you pay for Ethereum transactions when you're creating smart contracts, and it gets paid to the miners. So basically, the miners are doing the maths for you and working out the contracts, and as a reward, they get the Ethereum that they find from the block, and they also get the gas price, which gets sent along with the transaction while you're mining. So when you get a block reward, transactions happen with it. Okay. So when the Ethereum network's busy, gas prices are higher as a result, therefore the miners get more money. And when it's not as busy, the gas price is lower, so miners get less money. So you don't actually just make the Ethereum that you mine, you also make money on the side. It's like a side hustle for miners, basically.
Okay. Now I know how I sound when I talk about mixing. Apparently it's Thursday and I said it was Wednesday. That's how much I can't think straight.
I just joined in with you.
Yeah. Merry Tuesday, everybody, on this Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, you said Wednesday, and I'm like, yeah, it'll be every Wednesday.
Merry Tuesday.
At least we can talk to each other, right, Adam? At least we can talk to each other.
The time's consistent on our planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, back on Gibson Planet, they now have Murphy Labs aging service, and yes, it's expensive.
All right.
They have a lab where they've learned how to beat guitars up quickly. They've got ultralight, light, heavy, and ultra heavy. I think we've mentioned
that sounds mean.
Yeah. Well, some people just want guitars that look like they've been in a fight, and I don't get it. But there you go. You can have it so that if you can just about behind the chat there see the ultra heavy, you can see where the wood is showing underneath the paint, which on a Gibson is actually really difficult because they've got paint on them that's like half an inch of glass.
All right.
I'm exaggerating, but old Gibson paint just was thick, as far as I remember anyway. But yeah, I mean, you can pay them to do ultralight aging, although why wouldn't you just play it if it's ultralight that you want? But I don't know. I've got guitars and basses that are aged. My jazz bass that's on the wall is probably light to heavy aged. If you look closely, there's dings and scratches and bumps and everything. But every single one of those has been earned by me playing it. And like there's a particular dent in the back of the neck where I remember playing a particular wedding, running round the stage, and the stage was held up with like scaffolding poles. And as I leapt onto the stage and threw my bass around to get to the microphone, I went clang. So things like that, I've never quite understood relicing when it's not something you've or a previous owner has earned. I don't know.
I like that.
It's yeah. I mean, if you're a world famous guitarist and your guitar looks like it's been around the block, it probably has. And I get that, and so I don't know. I mean, do what you want, I guess. I shouldn't stop people. That's kind of gatekeeping, and if you want to do this, by all means do it. But I personally don't get it. Especially the prices where, like, let's have a look. There are differences, like the Les Paul Standard 1959 Slow Iced Tea Fade, the VOS model, which is the custom shop model with all the old spec stuff, is £4,300. Expensive, but custom shop prices. The aged one is $6,500. So for them to basically have a belt sander and just kind of go at it a little bit, they're charging you $2,000.
Yeah. Sounds a bit excessive.
Yeah. I mean, Pooninja says it prevents the drop, I'm afraid to scratch it anxiety. Maybe, but why not just get the new guitar and then just scratch it a bit?
Yeah.
And then the scratching's done. And also, then you could say it was a relict one and that it actually cost you $2,000 extra.
Yeah. I really do not understand this. This feels like really fake as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like such like a poser thing. It's like, oh, look at my like ancient relic guitar. You bought that yesterday, mate.
Yeah, I mean,
and he paid like $2,000 for it.
I just don't generally understand relicing anyway. Like, there are some classic Stratocasters from the early 50s where they were made in a certain colour, like black, and then that guitar wasn't selling. So they sprayed over it in like red or seafoam green or whatever. And you see some classic Strats where there are chips in the paint and it's black underneath. And then it's the wood underneath that. And that's kind of cool. But I've seen that done now a few times as like a relic job. And I'm looking at it like, no, the guitar hasn't earned that. If my guitar looked like that, I would strip the paint off and refinish it. You know? But then you go, oh no, but this guitar's got a story. No, the real one's got a story. This one's just got 2 bad paint jobs. There you go. I mean, that's how I see it. But like I say, if you really, really want it, you do you. Pooninja says he offers wire brush speed relicing services. Very affordable prices. Affordable. Wait.
I mean, I'd happily take $2,000 to beat someone's guitar up.
Yeah. You just get a couple of tea bags and some wire wool. You scrape it with wire wool, rub a tea bag on it, scrape it with more wire wool, spit on it, stick a bit of beer on it, wash it clean with soapy water. There you go.
And why lightly sand it and then buff it, then lightly sand it and buff it just to wash it out a bit.
And that's the equivalent of me playing about 5 shows. I mean, if anyone's seen the video on our channel from Jack's Instrument Services, one of the guys there, Adam Dolan, who's an old friend of mine, he did a lot of repair work on this bass that's behind me, including replacing the bridge. And the bridge, his joke was it looked like it had been dipped in the sea because the pictures of it, it was literally rusted through. And that was from me doing about 400 shows with that bass, that it was literally rusted through. And yeah, that is aging. That's relicing. But then rather than just kind of polish it up and make it look nice, we looked at it and went, nope, take that off, put a new one on. Because when you can describe bits as looking like they've been in the sea, that's not cool. That's just like, ugh. But yeah, it turned out that like I sweat a lot during performances, and when I play bass for shows, I tend to play the pick a lot and rub my wrist against the bridge, which if I'm sweaty means I'm essentially rubbing salt water into it for 3 solid hours, several times a week.
Yeah.
That's a better relicing process than they've got. Maybe I should just do that to all their guitars and basses, is just get sweaty and just play them a lot. It's a good way to relic. Andre in chat says, give it to my son and wait 3 months. It'll be relics for sure. Yeah. So let's move on to something new that looks new. This is something that was rumored that was on the podcast a few weeks ago. It's been
I was going to say, I recognize that.
Yeah, back-to-back Line 6 recently. We talked about the Helix extended version, and now we've got the Pod Go wireless. And it looks like this does have an inbuilt wireless unit, which is really useful if you use this at home. I'm going to guess that there's also a jack input, so that if you go to a serious big show, you can just click a jack in there. Because if you play a big show, you probably don't want to be using the tiny little G10 receiver, because if there's so much as a sneeze from a phone nearby, which if you've got a crowd, every one of them has a phone, that's going to knock out your wireless pretty quick. And I know that because I had the G30 and that happened to me. And I had to get the G90, which is the top of the range, where the wireless, because it's all in 2.4 gigahertz band, where the wireless is like you turn it on and you can, the fillings in your teeth hurt because the wireless transmits that loudly. That's what you need to get above the din of a crowd who all have phones. But if you're using this at home and you don't want the tangle of cables, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The fact that you can just click your charger click your wireless unit back into it for charging purposes, that's pretty useful. And it uses
that is cool.
It uses the jack that clicks back into it'll be the Pod Go in this case, but I've got a G10 at the studio that I got given by Line 6. It's pretty cool because, you click the thing back in by the jack and it charges through the jack. So you're not searching for cables. You're not going to lose anything. You just go stunk and there you go. It works. So, yeah.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah, the G10T Mark II. I'm guessing T is for Telecaster? I don't know what the T stands for. But yeah, you just kind of click that in there and it'll probably charge it in there. Oh, it looks like there's I'm guessing that's the transmitter at the top, but it looks like a little place to store your picks.
Maybe it is.
But yeah, oh wow, not cheap though. Toman is listing it at €629. Oof. That is quite possibly the most expensive pod unit I've ever seen, and that includes the rack ones. Blimey. Oof. Now, here's one that's interesting. Isotope emailed me this week. They are moving away from set releases of their products and going for the subscription model. And yeah, so I use Ozone, and I have played with quite a few of the other Isotope things, and they're going to a subscription model, and it seems a little expensive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but to be fair, especially their advanced versions of the plugins have traditionally been about £400 to £500, euros, dollars each.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a serious isotope user, they've got stuff like RX on here, which has always been expensive for the good stuff. RX is the stuff that can clean up all sorts. RX seems like the kind of thing, search for extraterrestrial intelligence. It seems like they're probably using RX to clean up the signals from aliens. Yeah. So, yeah, but there are different. It's slightly confusing. They have different bundles, but there's one bundle is Ozone Pro, Neutron Pro, Vocal Synth Pro, Nectar, and Melodyne 5 Essential, and that's $19.99 a month, which isn't unreasonable if you actually use all of it.
Yeah.
If you're a big isotope user, and I know a lot of people are, because if you want super clean, super modern, they're good at that. They're really good at that. Then, yeah, check out the stuff on the website. There's Music Production Suite Pro, and I'm not entirely sure what the difference is. Oh, so the Pro bundle includes RX Pro for music. I'm not sure what the difference is there. And Nectar Pro and Isotope Relay and Visual Mixer. Yeah. So the one that's $25 a month also includes RX Pro, which if you do anything like running a YouTube channel, having a podcast that might have guests, anything like that where you might have guests coming in where the sound's not great potentially, or any number of reasons that you might be handling audio that's not ideal. There's RX is well worth the money. Neutron's actually really good for mixing, and then Ozone is the go-to mastering plugin for so many people, me included. Still swear by Ozone. And yeah, and I have done since Ozone 4. That's saying something, because I think this Ozone Pro is the 10th version. So
what? There's been 2 more since you did the Ozone 8 video.
Yeah, I've done Ozone 9, and
oh wow,
I've only stopped using Ozone 9 recently because I use all the exact same features that I did in Ozone 8, because the new funky Ozone 9 stuff doesn't really apply to me. And after a year, it stopped working because it was like a not for resale version. But yeah, so technically I've gone back to Ozone 8, but not because 9's bad, just because they gave Isotope gave me a copy of Ozone to use that lasted a year, which is plenty of time, but then it just stopped. And funnily enough, within weeks of that happening, I've had an email from them about this new Pro stuff. So I'll be getting back to them at some point soon, checking these out and talking about their subscription service, see if that's any good.
Sounds great.
But yeah, accessibility is always a good thing. I mean, if this costs you $250 a year, but Ozone, if you were to buy Ozone 9 Advanced outright, that was, I think, $500.
Oh wow!
I mean, it's a serious piece. It's a serious piece of software. So if you were to use that for 2 solid years, that kind of pays for itself, and you get all the other software in it as well. So even though it does sound expensive, there's all much of a muchness. Yeah. But there's always the constant debate about subscription versus perpetual licensing, and continuing to pay for stuff, and whether that's justified in a lot of circumstances, because a lot of companies are going down the subscription route, and the problem is you don't have unlimited funds. As the average layman, kind of part-time producer, hobbyist producer, I mean, some people will, but by and large, you're not going to have enough money to have every subscription bundle all at once, because that's a lot.
Yeah. But I mean, at least it's also a bit like getting them on like hire purchase though as well. So you can think, right, okay, I've got a budget of X amount per year, then like you can afford to like, right, well, I couldn't afford 500 quid to drop on it.
Yeah.
But if I could get that on finance, maybe I could. Well, there's no finance because it's It's just the price of it, and it's a monthly payment.
Yeah.
So it's cheaper than having to finance it. But I get you.
Yeah. The only
more
question. Yeah, sorry.
So I was just going to say, it's more like the temptation. Like, there's more available now because it's on a monthly thing. So
yeah,
because before you'd never think, and like for us, for instance, when we started the studio, there were so many plugins and things we just had to put out of our mind that weren't possible because they were outside of reach.
Yeah, we just
because it was too much.
Right.
But when it's £9 a month, you're like, oh, I could afford that. Okay, but can you afford 10 of them?
Yeah,
because that's £90 a month, and that's when it's starting to add up.
Yeah. The other thing is, like you say, it's like a hire purchase agreement, except at the end of the period, you don't own it.
No, so it's like leasing it then, yeah.
Which for someone like me is fine, because by that point, the new version of the software has come out anyway. I'm probably going to be using that new version. So for me,
it's a business cost anyway. It goes against the tax.
Exactly, yeah. For someone like me,
everything.
Yeah, but it's talking about the majority of people, which is where it gets difficult. Is like, let's say that I bought a piece of software and 2 years later, I don't need the new features, but I still need the software. By that point, where it would have been paid for itself, you'd have to continue to pay for it. That's the issue for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
and that's where. So that's where brands need to start to understand that. Yeah. So I always go back to Humble Bundle when it comes to subscriptions. I was talking to a client today about subscriptions. He's starting out a subscription for something I can't talk about.
Okay.
But Humble Bundle, because they do so much right. And like one of the things they do really well is you can pause your subscription at any point. You pause your subscription, nothing changes other than you don't get the next month's bundles. You need to go in each month to pause it, which gives you an incentive to think, oh, do I want it this month? Which is good for them. And it's so the only inconvenience for me, if I don't like the games, and the great thing is that you can see this usually. In the old days, you could see it before when you knew what the games were. You can't do it anymore. But you get an idea of like whatever the headline game is, they'll announce that, and you can go, no, I don't want that. I'm going to pause my subscription, and that's it. But you don't lose any of the perks or benefits that you've got that I have from being a subscriber for 5 years. So if they do a similar thing where you can pause your subscription, you keep all your settings, you just can't access the plugins, and then if and when you need them, you can just turn it back on again and then have access to it, then it's not quite the same, but I think it's a nice middle ground between all of it. Or maybe even they could say that what they could definitely do, I'm sure, is allow it so that you could load the plugins up into like legacy projects in some way. Do you know what I mean? Or so that you can access the stuff or use like one preset that you've set for yourself or something. I don't know. I'm sure you could figure out a model that when you pause a subscription, you get a really watered down version that would do what you're saying there, give you kind of some sort of legacy access for minimal use and no sort of updates or anything. Like it's kind of paused at that point in time. Like you have some set presets that are allowed. Something like that could be really cool.
Yeah, kind of like a read-only mode, maybe.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really clever idea. Yeah, so you could open up an old project and it would still work, but if you want to change anything, you can't unless you then start paying again. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, and it's just paused, and so you don't lose anything that's in there. And as I say, you have to do it each month, so it helps them, it benefits them. So if you forget, you pay again. So that's the incentive for them because it's a business at the end of the day.
Okay.
But it means that all you need to do is set a reminder on your phone and just do it, or actually full on cancel it if you don't intend to carry on. Yeah. But then it's down to, this is where the businesses tend to get this wrong when it's the pausing thing, because some businesses just allow you just to pause it and you don't have to go in again.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really bad idea because then you just never go back and turn it on again.
Yeah.
So
that's
I think then about
cancelling. Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's about the brand, like I say, do the month thing, but then send out different emails and messages to people that are paused to try and help them understand how they can use the product better. Find out why it is that they have paused, if they can improve things. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a way that the sort of people that will use your subscription service and then pause are exactly the sort of people you want to talk to.
Yeah.
Because if you can solve that problem, then you'll solve a problem for a lot of other people. So it gives you a really good opportunity because you can identify who are the people here that really like what we're doing, but not quite happy enough to carry on paying anymore. Okay, that's a perfect level of, okay, they really like what we're doing. There's just something wrong.
Yeah, That's really clever. That's worth looking at. Yeah.
Well, if you got the idea to any of them, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Call one of them up.
I know someone who I can talk to with that idea very soon.
Tell them. So we'll license it. They have to put it into hot pole pause mode. That's what it's called.
Love it.
I had
a relevant question in chat talking about subscriptions. Do you think the Antares suite is worth $35 a month? So that's the auto tune Antares bundle.
Oh, right, yeah.
At all. I think they've massively missed the mark. $35 a month. Not even Pro Tools is charging that. And they want to charge you that for auto tune? Lol, no. They don't have a wide enough offering by any stretch of the imagination to be charging that kind of money.
They have the brand name though, don't they?
Yeah, and
just that. Like, there's a lot of people that just know, like, auto-tune. If you think about it, auto-tune has got to be the most widely known audio plugin in the world, because if someone in the street, what's an effect that you might put on music? I think the most people would say maybe they might know reverb, and they'll know auto-tune.
Yeah, possibly.
And auto-tune is auto-tune, so it becomes a bit like Hoover to a degree.
I mean, they'll make some money off that for sure.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of people, a lot of sort of casual DJs and mixers and music makers that it's a part of a music scene, a lot of electronic music. It's like a part of the sound.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's
only a fraction of the audience, and I still agree with you. Like, it's massively mispriced.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, I think even a lot of the casual, especially the casual market, for me, is far more conscious of price.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're right. 100%.
And yeah, I mean, if I said to you, well, yeah, you can have auto-tune. Cool, $35 every month. No. What are the alternatives? Yeah. And it doesn't take much Googling to find what the alternatives are. And yeah.
Well, what is the alternative, Adam?
The alternative is Melodyne, which comes with this isotope bundle right here for $19.99 a month. So there you go.
Along with a lot of other shit.
Oh, you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there you go. And okay, it's time for Behringer Corner. Behringer Corner.
Can you do? Because whenever I've used Melodyne or used it with you, we've used it for much more precise tuning, which is what Autotune still can't do.
Yeah, but Autotune does have a thing like Melodyne, but not as good in there.
Oh, so it does have that now?
Yeah, it has that. Right.
So, but that's the thing. That's what I was going to ask you. Can Melodyne do the auto-tune like Autotune can?
Yes. You just go select all, tune, slide.
Right. Yeah, of course. I get it. Yeah. You just do it all as one as opposed to actually precisely moving stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You can go select all, snap to nearest pitch. Yes, please. And it will. And it still sounds better than Autotune.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I was thinking though, because some people are going for that auto-tune sound.
Yeah, you can if you're specifically doing that though, you can use Auto-Tune Evo from like 2016 that you can buy for $40.
Yeah.
And not per month, just $40 flat, and it does that thing. The more expensive Auto-Tune stuff is the stuff with the fancy detail work in it now.
And stuff, yeah.
And also, now that Melodyne has this thing called ARA, which is compatible with a lot of DAWs, ARA means you're not transferring audio in anymore. You just drop you drop it on and there you go. It's up. It's gone.
That's clever.
Yeah. Very clever. So yeah, Behringer Corner. US Patent Office rejects registration of Behringer Oberheim. We saw this coming. We reckon that Behringer would try and copyright the Oberheim name. But yeah, the US Patent Office has said no, you can't have it because Tom Oberheim owns the Oberheim name. His name is Oberheim, and you can't have it because that's his name. So there you go.
Rip.
Yeah. Lol. Keywording from the documents is registration is refused because the applied format consists of or includes matter that may falsely suggest a connection with Tom Oberheim. trademark section something something something. Although that person is not connected with the goods provided by the applicant under the applied for mark, Tom Oberheim is so well known that consumers would presume a connection. Da da da! Gotcha.
Ouch.
Got him.
I mean, that usually in those sorts of legal documents, it's like as pursuant to clause 14. That's just like mic drop. Like specifically, no, you're not doing that. We know what you're trying to do.
Exactly. In legal documentation, you don't get much clearer than that, do you?
No, you do not. That's very direct.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. There's the new Oberheim synths are going to come from Oberheim. Behringer are going to have to rename it to something that is not that. Apparently, Music Tribe still lists Oberheim from the brands drop-down menu on their website, along with newly acquired Aston microphones, but doesn't list either further down the page. I mean, the Aston, I know why that could just take them a little while to get that on there. I don't know if it's more effort. I don't know. But it's interesting that, the Oberheim name, as we can see on the picture here, is still on the Music Tribe website, despite the fact that not only can they not patent the name, but the copyright to the name was given back specifically to Tom Oberheim because it was bought, as we talked about on the podcast in a previous episode, by Dave Smith from Sequential Circuits and donated to Tom Oberheim himself.
If they don't remove that fairly quickly, that'll probably cost them quite a lot per day.
What, just racking up licensing fees?
Well, yeah, like racking up the amount that they asked for in damages.
Yes. Although I wonder if Tom Oberheim is quietly just not saying anything and letting it rack up.
Yeah. Well, there's articles like this that you can use as evidence as well. This article is a big, for a court case. If you want to argue that it's damaged your brand in misrepresentation, you can show a news article from a reputable website that shows that they noticed that this is weird and wrong.
Yeah.
That's you're going to struggle to win that lawsuit.
Yeah. There you go.
And they love to see people in America, so
absolutely. Yes.
It is an industry. It's actually an industry.
Dizzying industry, but true. Completely true. So that was the news.
The news.
And it's time to get on FaceTime. We may have a special guest on the show any second now.
Oh.
A FaceTime unavailable.
Wah wah.
Womp womp. Oh, there we go.
We can't quite see it where you're holding it
I
either.
know. It's because I'm still setting up. Hello!
Hello!
Happy birthday.
Cheers,
Happy
buddy.
birthday!
Hey.
Hey.
Now this
How you doing?
This is guest inception.
I know this is pretty mad.
Yeah. Oh man.
I'm guessing he can only hear you though, right?
Oh yeah, you can only hear me. That's right. Unless you're listening to the podcast on your side.
I am, but I'm like a few seconds behind. So.
Yeah. Really
I
confusing.
think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you had a good birthday? Ask him if he's had a good birthday.
Have you had a good birthday? He said.
Yeah, mate. Hey, thank you.
I'd sing happy birthday, but that would become a cycle of violence very quickly because of the 3-second delay.
Chat, say happy birthday to Chris.
You're live on TV. Turn down the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever do that as a kid? You phone into like a Saturday morning TV program and you had to turn down the TV because you got through?
No.
I remember things like
I never got through.
No, I know of it. I never did it. I did it, no.
I remember getting through to something, but I don't remember what because I was a child and my brain has just... My brain's like a ship of Theseus. Not a single brain cell exists from that time period. Yeah, we'll have to get you back on the podcast next week when you're not in the middle of drinking because it's your birthday.
Yes, speaking of which, I've just polished one, so I'm on a Fireball and Fanta.
Oh, weird. I like it.
You know what? It works really well.
Fireball and
I love
Fanta.
Seagull, actually. So.
I'll check that out. Right, well, I'll leave you to your birthday. We've got a podcast to do.
I will continue watching.
Yes, I'll see you soon.
See you later. See you soon, Liam.
Bye.
Bye.
That's
Epic.
one way of doing 3 people on one show.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions from the chat before we ride off into the sunset? I mean, I'm going to jinx it now and say that the broadcast and the internet in here has actually behaved itself today, because 2 streams now, it's had a bit of a panic near the end, like 3 hours in, just because. But yes. Scott left suddenly because
you can get your Starlink if you wanted to.
Oh,
now.
What? I mean, that would be crazy. I think the issue in here is not the connection itself. It's this like power line Ethernet that I've got that is really good until it decides that it isn't.
Yeah, but you could just have the Starlink. Is there a window in that room?
Yeah. Oh, just have the satellite inside this room. Just
yeah, as long as you get line of sight. You see that I've ordered one?
I did. You are mental, but
why not? Like, there seems to be, like, from what I can tell, I read through the contract. You can cancel any time, and it looks like you get the satellite and their router. So I kind of feel like that's a bargain for 89 quid. Like, I want the satellite. Do you know that if it snows, the satellite melts the snow?
That's pretty cool.
Like, it's insane. And also, I really believe in the Starlink project, so I wanted to support it. Like, I think, like, globally, it's epic. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm sure I won't end up keeping it until, well, I'll probably keep it for a bit and then cancel it. And then, because I want to be involved in helping beta test it as well. And then cancel it and get it again when our backup line runs out, because I'm not paying for 3 internets.
Yeah.
I'll pay for this for a month and then cancel it.
Oh, do you know what the rough ping is for Starlink?
Somewhere between in the beta, it's between 20 and 100.
Oh, so from reasonable to headshot? What headshot?
Yeah. 20. I mean, 20 is fine for most stuff.
Yeah,
and as I say, it's between 50 and 150.
Yeah, that's more than reasonable. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what some people say on Facebook, but if you can get 150 synchronous for 89 quid anywhere in the country, that's good going. And especially what I like about it, which I say for residential, like, okay, it's not, but having an underground cable internet and a satellite internet, like, that is full redundancy at that point, because both the stars have to fall down and someone has to dig up the cable for you to lose the internet.
Yeah.
So, like I say,
unlikely
there's no
that
other
both
way.
would happen at once.
Exactly. Well, it's probably actually quite likely that if the stars fall down, then the cables will go as well.
At that point, I think the cable will be the least of your concern.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh, I had one question. Do you have a tip to find a great instrumental to vocal balance? Yeah. Turn everything down. I mean, like, turn your speakers down, or if you're using headphones, turn your headphones down, way down, so they'll, like, whisper quiet. Then turn your vocals all the way off and just turn them up and up and up and up until they sit nicely. And that's it. And then you have to do that for each section. You have to use automation on vocals around a dense track to make sure they sit right. But yeah, that's how you do it. If you're listening to your mix really loud, that'll feel good, but you won't have any perspective of how things are volume-wise compared to other things in the mix.
How do you know then, though, that you've not just got too many things in a certain range overlapping, like that your mids are just not too full and that's why you can't hear your vocals?
Well, that's a different question. That's more to do with actual, like, arrangement balance. And in that case, you do go back to normal volume and you just try and turn off different elements. And if one massively sucks the energy out of the entire mix, that element was probably too loud unless that was really meant to kill everything. And in that case, you can look in that element for EQ points that just clear everything right out.
So that's the bit you do first, and then once you're happy with that, then you turn everything right down.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, the original question, it was yes, specific. Let's assume for this question, let's say it's a rap track and the instrumental is done and is brilliant, is perfect. In that case, how do you get your balance right? I think the answer is make sure your vocals nicely compressed and saturated and all this stuff so it sounds nice to you. Then turn the volume of everything down, and then just slow, like headphone volume, and then just slowly bring it up. And then when it feels like you can make it out nice and clearly, but it's not killing everything, that's probably right. And then just use that as your guideline as you go through your whole track. And if it feels like it's then a bit quiet, bring it up. If it's a bit loud, bring it back down. But yeah, don't be afraid to stop, go back, turn your headphones or your monitors down, and just check quietly, because quietly it's a killer. And when you're mixing quietly, the room isn't going to cause you much problem, or if you're on headphones, the like ear blasting phenomenon isn't going to cause you any problems. It's really useful. Do you want to read out Scott's question?
It's quite small for me on the screen. Put it out.
Chernobyl Studios.
Oh yeah. I tried to bring some proper journalism to the stream.
Oh, a bit further up.
Oh. Can you tell us how you're able to walk around with such a huge baseball bat in your pants? What? I'm guessing that's at Adam.
Yeah, it's a bit of a running joke between me and Scott that we've been talking a lot about mixing recently, me and Scott. He's been doing live mix streams. I've been doing live mix streams. And sometimes I'll just pull a move on the stream that comes a bit out of left field. And Scott's running joke is, how do you have the balls to do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I've just been doing this for a while. It's like, I know what this needs, a kazoo solo or whatever. Yes. So I don't know, but I think that's a good question to end tonight's podcast.
I do too.
So yes, thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun. I'm off to drink another Newcastle Brown so that my brain doesn't hurt as much, and I might get the old book out and start writing the Celestian script, which is always good when you sat with a second beer. So that'll be fun. And thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you all.
Night.
I will see you all, everybody, tomorrow night live here, where we're going to continue mixing the epic metal streams, and then we'll see you next week, 8 o'clock. See ya then. Bye. Hey everyone, that might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server. Link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Hop Hole Studios.